Have you ever had a moment where reality didn't feel broken, just misaligned? Like you noticed a pattern repeating in your life, a coincidence stacking on top of another, or a familiar situation unfolding again with different faces, and something inside you recognized it before your mind could explain it. Not panic, not confusion, just a quiet certainty that your brain had seen this before. Most people ignore that signal. They call it chance and move on, but some don't. Some start noticing that their subconscious reacts faster than logic, detecting structures beneath everyday events, sensing a hidden reality that operates below conscious awareness. You wake up, go to work, live a normal American life, yet part of your mind is always scanning, connecting dots, asking why certain outcomes keep repeating. This isn't anxiety, it's pattern recognition. Research into quantum consciousness and perception suggests the subconscious mind processes far more information than we're aware of, filtering reality long before it reaches conscious thought. And when that system begins to surface, it can feel unsettling. You start questioning whether you're off track, behind, or somehow lost. But what if that feeling isn't failure at all? What if it's your mind detecting structure where others see randomness? The uncomfortable part isn't that something is wrong with you. It's that your subconscious may already understand something your conscious mind is just beginning to catch up to. And once you see why that happens, you'll realize this moment was never confusion. It was the first signal of clarity. Before we move forward, recognize what this moment actually is. When you engage here, even subtly, you're not reacting, you're aligning. A like isn't a habit. It's a signal that you're part of a small group willing to notice patterns instead of dismissing them. This channel isn't a destination. It's a meeting point for minds that question before they accept. If this resonates, leave a marker for others who think the same way. In the comments, write this line exactly as it comes to you. I noticed the pattern. It's not a slogan, it's a recognition. And if you choose to stay connected, you're stepping into an ongoing movement of conscious observers preparing to understand the science behind why your mind senses more than it's been taught to trust. Now we move from intuition into evidence, and this is where most people feel the ground shift. In 1978, physicist John Archibald Wheeler at Princeton University proposed and later helped validate what became known as the delayed choice experiment. Building on the original double-slit work, Wheeler asked a disturbing question. What if the decision to observe a particle is made after it has already passed the point where it should have behaved as either a wave or a particle? According to everyday logic, the outcome should already be decided. Cause comes before effect, past before present. But when the experiment was refined and tested in later years, including implementations at institutions like the University of Maryland and the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the results refused to obey common sense. Photons behaved as if the act of measurement in the present determined their behavior in the past. Until observation occurred, the system remained unresolved, suspended in probability within the quantum field. This is what physicists refer to as the observer effect, and it doesn't mean that human thoughts magically control reality, but it does mean that interaction and measurement are inseparable from outcome at the most fundamental level. And this means that you are not simply moving through a finished world, reacting to fixed circumstances. It means your awareness plays a role in how patterns resolve, especially in your own experience. Emotionally, this explains something you may have felt for years. That sense of waiting, of life not fully collapsing into place until you truly engage with it. People who live unconsciously feel dragged forward by events. People who observe feel the pause, the uncertainty, the space where choice exists. That pause can feel uncomfortable, even alienating, but it's also where agency lives. Consciousness expansion begins when you notice that your attention changes how you respond, and over time, how outcomes compound. This isn't mystical thinking, it's aligned with how prediction, attention, and perception shape behavior and experience. If this feels unsettling, that's natural, because the next question science had to face was even more destabilizing. If observation matters this much, then what exactly is doing the observing, and how deeply does it reach into the system? This is where the science stops feeling distant and starts showing up inside your body. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, researchers at the HeartMath Institute, led by Dr. Roland McCready, began measuring something most people never associate with cognition: coherence. Using EEG and heart rate variability data, they discovered that when attention becomes steady and emotions are regulated, The heart and brain enter a synchronized rhythm. Signals stop competing. Information flows cleanly. The nervous system shifts into an ordered state. This isn't philosophy, it's physiology. And here's the part that unsettled the mainstream. When coherence increases, the electromagnetic field generated by the body becomes more stable and more influential within the surrounding quantum field. Interaction improves not through force, but through resonance. And this explains why awareness often arrives as a sensation before a thought. The subtle pressure behind your eyes when something suddenly makes sense. The tingling in your hands or chest when intuition sharpens. The calm clarity that replaces mental noise without effort. Those sensations aren't imagined. They're markers of internal systems aligning. When coherence rises, perception widens. When perception widens, your subconscious mind starts detecting patterns it used to filter out. This is why you sometimes just know without reasoning it through. It's why slowing down makes reality feel clearer instead of duller. And this explains why life may feel more intense now. Greater coherence increases sensitivity. You notice emotional shifts sooner. You feel when environments are wrong for you. You sense misalignment before words appear. As an educator, I need to say this clearly and carefully. This doesn't make you special, and it doesn't make you superior. It makes you attentive. But attention has a cost. When clarity increases, pretending becomes harder. And that's where vulnerability enters. Because once you feel alignment inside, it becomes impossible to ignore when your outer life doesn't match it. There's a part of this awareness that almost no one prepares you for, and it deserves honesty. Because seeing patterns doesn't just sharpen perception, it separates you from the noise. You start realizing that some conversations no longer reach you. Some ambitions feel empty. Some relationships feel misaligned. Not because people changed, but because you did. And that can feel lonely. There are moments of doubt where you wonder if you're overanalyzing, if you should just relax and blend back in, if life would be easier if you stopped noticing so much. Fear shows up quietly in those moments. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of standing still while others move forward on paths that no longer feel right. Fear that clarity might cost you comfort. I've felt that weight too. The strange tension of knowing more but feeling less certain, of sensing direction without a clear map. This isn't a failure of confidence. It's the ego adjusting to a wider view. When awareness grows, the old identity cracks because it can't hold what you're seeing anymore. That fracture can feel like instability, but it's actually transition. If any of this resonates, you don't need to label it or explain it. Just acknowledge it. Let yourself recognize that what you're feeling has meaning. And if this perspective speaks to you, stay present with it. You're not here to escape your life. You're here to understand how to move through it with intention. Because the next step isn't about losing yourself. It's about realizing how much agency you've had all along. This is the moment where the meaning of everything you've felt finally settles into place. Because the sensation you once labeled as confusion, restlessness, or being off track was never a defect in your thinking. It was perception expanding ahead of permission. What felt like not fitting in was your subconscious detecting patterns before your conscious mind was trained to trust them. The science you've just heard wasn't abstract. It traced your experience. Observation influencing outcome. Coherence sharpening perception. Resonance changing how systems interact. These weren't distant laboratory results. They describe the pauses you feel before reacting, the clarity that arrives without effort, the discomfort with explanations that stop at the surface. You were never lost. You were early in the process of noticing. This is the master key most people never receive. Expanded perception doesn't pull you away from reality. It reveals how deeply involved you already are in shaping your experience of it. When you recognize patterns, you gain choice. When you observe your reactions, you interrupt repetition. When awareness stabilizes, life stops feeling like something that happens to you and starts feeling like something you participate in deliberately. Right now matters, because this isn't about understanding the past. It's about how you move forward from this moment. Every decision, every pause, every moment of attention becomes information fed back into the system. But here's the idea. I won't resolve for you yet. If the subconscious detects patterns before consciousness explains them, and if perception influences how reality unfolds, then the question isn't whether your mind can change outcomes. It's how much of your life has been shaped by patterns you were never taught to see. Sit with that, because the next step isn't more knowledge. It's awareness in action. And once you begin noticing how your perception moves through your day, there's no going back to believing you were ever truly lost. Before you leave, seal this moment consciously. In the comments, write this sentence exactly as it feels to you. I trust my perception. It's not a statement for approval. It's a signal to others who recognize the same patterns and are learning to listen to them. If this way of understanding reality resonates, staying connected here isn't about following content. It's about remaining part of a focused group committed to clarity, discipline, and conscious inquiry. This space is for those who choose awareness over distraction. And if you're ready to take this further, the next step is already unfolding in front of you. The simulation has a glitch. 3 signs you've finally woken up. Your consciousness brought you here. What happens now is your choice.